Welcome to JSA TV, where we're covering the latest stories, trends, and innovations with leaders in digital infrastructure. We are live here at Metro Connect 2026. I'm excited right now to speak with Jeff Sobotka. He is the Senior Vice President of eX². Jeff, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, so let's start off. Tell me a little bit about what makes eX² unique in the industry.
We're really unique in the industry because we're a smaller company that truly punches above its weight. We leverage relationships with other companies. So, in many ways, we're like a Switzerland. We're very neutral. Everybody likes to work with us. We're able to provide services in terms of design, build, but also operate, maintain, and commercialize networks to everything from states and counties and cities to large data center projects and other commercial projects. What's interesting about us is that we don't own the asset. Unlike many of our competitors, we allow other folks to own the asset. That becomes very important when you're dealing, for example, with tribes where sovereignty is a really important aspect of how they operate their business enterprises.
Excellent. Great. Now let's talk about that a little bit. That's what I want to ask next. Just with the recent federal reforms and shifts in tribal broadband connectivity program funding, how is eX² helping tribal nations pivot their strategies?
So, as somebody who grew up in Arizona and has worked with tribes in the past, there have been some tribal deals that, quite frankly, haven't gone well. And the NTIA has a really interesting program right now, led by a great leader around the TBCP program. And part of that is to take a look at some of these projects that maybe have not gone as well as possible in the past and also allow grant funding to do that. That's very different than in the past where you had to have a new project as opposed to something like this. We will work with tribes both on new projects as well as projects that maybe haven't gone well to help them obtain the funding and to get these projects completed. Because at the end of the day, it's great for everybody involved. From the tribes themselves and their members to the taxpayers. It also allows the tribes to have a degree of sovereignty in how they do this and own their own network. We're also quite big in working with tribes in terms of workforce and other initiatives to help them, again, become more of an owner and not as somebody who's hiring folks that maybe don't have their best interest at heart. Best example of that is we're working with the Havasupai tribe, whose tribal lands sit literally at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. It's one of the most interesting cases in the country. And we're working on them with a very unique wireless satellite design to provide service to their members. Havasupai Falls is one of the great tourist attractions in Arizona, and allowing folks to have cell phone service and Wi-Fi service at the bottom of the canyon there to be able to take pictures and do the selfies and do the things that you want to do on vacation is super important. It's also a great moneymaker for the tribe and it helps them with tribal employment. So we're excited to participate with the Havasupai tribe, and we're looking forward to working with many other tribes as the new TBCP program gets rolled out in the next quarter.
Yeah, excellent. Really important work. Thank you for sharing that. And that's really interesting about the Grand Canyon. I didn't even think about how you would get connectivity down there.
The only
Yeah.
way you get down there is on the back of a mule or in a helicopter. So
Yeah,
that gives
wow.
you some scale of how difficult this project is.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing that. Next, I want to talk about agricultural broadband model. Do you think that that's becoming the blueprint for making rural middle mile projects financially viable?
We're very excited about what they're doing at USDA and other agencies around agriculture. One of the things that we deal with in the Western United States, not just in Arizona, but in California, Nevada, Colorado, and other states, is the scarcity of water. So agriculture interests farmers, folks that own orchards. They want to get the most crop per drop. And how do you do that? Well, there's obviously efficiencies in the physical infrastructure, but also the digital infrastructure. Utilizing computer modeling and AI to get the most growth in the smallest amount of time period of land with the less water. So, for example, in Yuma, Arizona, we're building a large wireless network project. We're building towers that will connect to a fiber network that was put in place by a company called Allo Communications. This fiber network will transmit the information back to the larger internet. But within that wireless network, everything from sensors in the ground to self-driving combines and tractors to drones will be able to utilize this great network to, again, get the most crop per drop. Now, this is something that's unique just to the not just unique in the American Southwest, but you talk about the Middle East and other parts of the country. Water scarcity is going to be a big issue over the next 20 years, and we aim to help with that. And this is a very much a project that drives economic development in communities like that, because you don't just have your John Deeres and Caterpillars and your traditional traditional agriculture companies doing business like this, you also have companies like Microsoft and Google that have arms that are very much into agriculture and helping provide sustainable solutions to our world.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. And then the last question I want to get into is just about workforce development. So I'm curious about what that looks like in the broadband infrastructure world. Like, where do you think we need to go? Do we need to be recruiting more?
So we work really closely with our partner companies, our subcontractors, and others to do this work. We're always recruiting. eX² is a great place to work. We have a great team. But beyond that, we work with great partners. And one of the things that we've seen with BEAD and these other projects are kind of a dearth of folks that do this type of work. One of the projects that I personally was involved with back when I was the broadband director for the state of Arizona was working with a junior college in Arizona to provide once a construction science program that helped folks learn how to do the trenching and the splicing and the physical work. There are private companies that do this. We're talking to the folks in one of our large projects in Pima County about a workforce project because at the end of the day, everyone should benefit from these. And by hiring local, you inject that money and you keep that money in the local economy. You're also building skills that are useful to these folks, whether they stay in those communities or they move to Denver or another community. It gives them the ability to be a lifelong employee making good money with a good benefit schedule. So there's other companies, or private contractors that do this type of work as well. I just think that we in the industry need to start talking about workforce because that's something that's going to catch up with us if we don't have the workforce to do these BEAD projects, for example, as we move forward.
Right. Very important to have a skilled workforce. And yeah, if anyone's interested, EX2 sounds like a great place to work and a good time to be there. So thanks.
Thanks. We have
Thanks
some
for
really good people.
Yeah, it sounds great. Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Bye now.
Yeah. And to all of our viewers, stay connected and happy networking.